Nerd out here breaking down Complexity CT Dust2 B tunnels push. Prior to JKS joining Complexity, he was on 100 Thieves who had this setup where they would throw a molly to the side and then push tunnels. The T's will hear the molly as a sound cue that the CT's molly tunnels, however that's the catch here. They'll be caught off guard and won't expect the push. This setup can be done solo as well, which we see JKM doing here. Now moving on to Complexity, JKS brought this setup to the team and Complexity loves running it. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I've got footage and examples of all the rounds Complexity has run this setup. First, here's Complexity running against C9. C9 are on eco and Complexity have two players, Config and JKS, rushing tunnels. As they do so, the first player Config mollies to the right and the second player JKS nades to the side to try to mask the footsteps. Blame F is at doors flashing tunnels. Config does take damage from his molly and that alerts C9. However, since C9 are on eco, it was an easy cleanup for Complexity. The flash Blame F throws tunnels is not a good flash, although it says it blinds some of the C9 players. It really doesn't. Here are the three C9 players POVs that are playing tunnels. As you can see, they barely get flash. Now, if you're running this setup, you do want the best B spawns. As you can see here, the two players rushing tunnels, Config and JKS, have the best B spawns. As we saw earlier, JKM mollied and solo pushed. This time around, against Big, we have Config solo pushing, while JKS will be the one throwing the molly. I forgot to mention earlier that Config likes to try to jump over the molly, so he doesn't take any molly damage and to give up a sound cue. Config will pick off on towers and is able to fall back. JKS is there to cover him, and Keto really wanted to trade, overextends and gets punished from JKS. We see here that neither Big players were expecting the push from Config. They hear the molly and communicated that tunnels is mollied. Then bam, Config comes swinging. He catches both of the Big players off guard. As you can see, neither player had their gun out. In the next example, Complexity run the same setup versus Astralis. This time around, the first person, JKS, will molly to the side as he is running to tunnels, while Config is behind him following JKS into tunnels. They catch Astralis off guard as most of the players are trying to set up for a B execute. They get the first two kills, however Astralis had most of their team there and were able to trade out. It's a 3v3 situation and Astralis chooses the advantage with those trades in an uncontested B site since Complexity played 3 players A at the beginning of the round. I think if you're running this setup, you should have another player close, whether that be watching mid or into B, to stop the T's if they do kill both players and advance into site. In the last example I show here, it's versus Vitality. We see the exact same setup as the previous clip against Astralis. The first person, Config, will molly to the right of tunnels. However, he throws it too close and takes damage, and also gives a sound cue that someone's close. He will also see Zaiwu cross to the right of tunnels, however, it happens so fast that he must have not communicated out to JKS, because JKS doesn't even look that way. Zaiwu kills both players. We see here from Zaiwu's POV that he will see Config push tunnels, and so Zaiwu peeks and takes a fight and he wins it. To wrap up, we see JKS bring ideas from his old team 100 Thieves to Complexity with this B tunnel CT push on Dust2. The things you need to work on when doing this strat is making sure the molly doesn't burn the players, as well as thinking about having a third player close in case both players die. That way the third player can still contest the site. Another setup JKS brought over is the CT mid flash setup on Dust2, which you can check it out here. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Till next time, Nerd out here. Peace.